Law number 7, the law of quality. Quality beats quantity. And sadly, everything you're using right now is probably focused on the wrong one. This isn't my favorite law, but if I could only teach one law, this would be it. And honestly, I remain stunned by how many people want to tell me the law is not correct. In a nutshell, employer branding differs from consumer and corporate branding in one very significant way. The rest of marketing and branding wants more. They want more views, more leads, more impressions, channels, more eyeballs, more shelf space, more share of wallet, more brand recognition, more subscribers, more leads, more views, more sales, more audience, more. Employer branding doesn't want more. It wants better. Specifically, it wants better candidates and better hires. That's its remit. It's a game of quality versus quantity. And employer branding only succeed when they focus on quality. Now, this claim may seem surprising at first, but once you stop and think about it, it should be clear as day. The reason we don't often think this way is because we often take our cues and approach from consumer marketing. We play a strange game of follow the leader. They care about programmatic, so we care about programmatic. They care about TikTok, so we care about TikTok. They care about Facebook ads, so we care about Facebook ads. And we rarely stop to consider that their goals and our goals might be different, because in all honesty, they are. For a marketer, every dollar is a good dollar. For a recruiter, not every application is a good application. Instead, we end up adopting their metrics of impressions and clicks and conversions, despite the fact that those metrics are not what we really care about, not what we're striving to accomplish. And since employer branding industry is a relatively small compared to consumer marketing, vendors and platform owners are not going to scrap what works for 99% of their customers just to satisfy little old us. But we can't even turn to consumer branding for help. They are too busy fighting their own fight over metrics and purpose to offer much support. And ultimately, they think about quality in terms of finding the correct audience of people, the people who will likely consider their products in the future. And that's a far cry from the level of quality that we are focused on. So that means we get herded like sheep into thinking about quantity when we should be focused on quality. Why? Because that's what serves recruiting and the recruitment process. Why this works? It's just basic math. If I have 100 donuts to sell, the faster I sell those donuts, the sooner I can go back to making more, which means the sooner I can go sell out of that lot and the more money I'm going to make over the course of the year because I'm spending more time making donuts than I am selling them. And as a good little capitalist, I want to maximize the number of donuts I sell and maximize my return. So selling more and selling it faster is always the win. But recruiting does not operate by those rules. For every requisition you have, chances are there's only one person who can fill it. Let's say you're hiring a new director of sales. Are you going to hire the first person who applies? Or the first person who meets the core requirements? Of course not. You wait a week, maybe you wait 4 weeks, and you sort the people who applied. There's a huge value to the business for getting great people in seat as humanly possible, but that's not how recruiting works. But it's not recruiting's fault. Every recruiter can tell stories about where the hiring manager was shown the perfect candidate only a few days after the job got posted, just to hear the hiring manager say, yeah, that's great, but let's see who else applies. Everyone in the process is attempting to maximize the quality of the candidates. They should stop trying to focus on maximizing the number of applications. Where this falls apart. Non-employer branders hate this law. They hate it when I bring it up. They reject the optics around focusing on quantity instead of quality, as if their work was somehow inferior. It's not. Their job is to increase sales by finding more people who are willing to buy. But here's proof. Marketers do not talk about how they got the best lead. They talk about what it took to get the most leads from a campaign. They don't talk about how this work will get the best view. They talk about how it gets the most views. They are measured on quantity. Their only argument is that they care about quality in the shape of things like marketing or sales qualified leads. And that's true, totally true. There is a threshold a quality lead must make to be seen as useful. But remember, they still want as many as they can find. It's still a game of quantity for them, even if there is a threshold. Now flip it around. Are recruiters and employer branders rewarded for finding one amazing candidate? or 10? Talent's a relative thing. If you bring in 10 great hires, the hiring manager is going to pick the quote unquote best one and generally consider the rest rejects, even though they were all amazing. Collecting 10 perfect candidates instead of one or two provides almost no extra value to anybody. Quantity does not serve. Examples. You can see great examples of employer branding ignoring this law everywhere, sadly. They're always the brands without much of a point of view. The brands that epitomize employer blanding by trying to speak to everybody, trying to make the universe see them as positive. As we'll see in the next law, employer branding is not served by being generically attractive. It needs to be attractive to someone specific. And broad pronouncements about how great this is as a place to work without defining what the work is, why it's great, who the person is who will see that it's great, doesn't help us.